Hello, fellow fantasy football owners, and welcome to week 3 of fantasy football. I'm Kristin Carole, and I will be your Fantosee this football season. Week 3 wasn't as crazy, I didn't feel like, as week 2 with all the injuries and big plays, unless you were watching the Seattle Seahawks against the Denver Broncos, in which case that was one crazy game. All right, let's get into my favorite section this week, the studs and the duds. All right, studs. Andrew Luck, QB for the Colts. I'm not just picking him because he's my quarterback. Andrew Luck averaged 31 points this week with the 44 win against the Jaguars. Luck completed 31 of 39 passes for 370 yards and 4 touchdowns, which is huge for a quarterback. Another stud this week is Julio Jones, wide receiver for the Falcons, and I'm going to throw in there the Falcons defense as well because the 56-14 win over the Buccaneers really explains it all. Julio had 29 points, and he just killed the Tampa Bay defense. He had 9 receptions for 161 yards and 2 touchdowns in Thursday's victory. I did call this guy out last week as being a sleeper, and this week I'm putting him as a stud. Kirk Cousins, QB for Washington. He averaged 27 points against the Eagles, and even though they lost 34-37, he still did really well for everybody's team. All right, let's get into those duds. Matthew Stafford, just because you win a game doesn't mean you win at fantasy football. Stafford averaged only 3 points as QB for them. It was a 19-7 win against the Packers. He completed 22 of 34 passes for 246 yards with 2 interceptions and a lost fumble. Another dud this week, and it's crazy because I always put him in the stud section or best bets, is LaShawn McCoy, running back for Philly. He averaged only 2 points. He finished with 22 yards on 19 carries and failed to catch 2 passes thrown to him, which is, again, not something we see Shady McCoy doing too often. Let's get into week 4. I hope you guys kind of looked at your waivers because I definitely did. There are so many bye weeks out there. One of the big ones for me is the Seattle Seahawks. Let's get into what you guys definitely want to talk about week 4. Best bets. ESPN ranks Phillip Rivers, QB for the Chargers, as your best QB bet. Another one ESPN ranks is Matt Forte, running back for Chicago. He's projected with 18 points. They're playing the Packers back at Soldier Field, and this is a game where Packers and the Bears always try to bring their A game against each other because they are rivals. The Bears and Packers go about as well as getting a high five from Mark Wahlberg at a football game. It's just not going to happen. And another person, again, he was a stud. He's still going to be your best bet. Julio Jones, wide receiver for Atlanta. He's projected at 18 points versus Minnesota at Minnesota. NFL.com ranks your best bets, and Drew Brees takes the top spot for the Saints. They're going against Dallas this week, who Dallas's defense, we're going to get to their problems in a few minutes. Brees is still looking kind of for his breakout performance this season, which I have to imagine has to come to the Cowboys because they're not doing so great. Another best bet is Matt Forte, NFL, same idea as ESPN. He's projected on NFL with 20.3 points. Another best bet from NFL.com is Calvin Johnson, wide receiver for the Lions. Again, they're going against the Jets, who have kind of been back and forth this season. He's projected to get 17.3 points. All right, Bleacher Report, your best bet also says Drew Brees. They rank him at 25 points projected. And again, they're also thinking his luck should change in Dallas. They rank all their top running back as DeMarco Murray for Dallas, projected at 19 points against New Orleans. Murray's 385 rushing yards are 70 more than any other player, which is kind of amazing that Dallas isn't doing any better. And of course, Jimmy Graham, tight ends for New Orleans, is projected at 14 points. It was really funny because Bleacher Report said, as we noted last week, this space is no longer being used to write about football. You know Jimmy Graham is good. I know Jimmy Graham is good. Instead, we use this space mainly to give an opportunity to be a stupid human being. Let's get to your worst bets. ESPN ranks Geno Smith QB for the Jets. He has only 6 points projected for this week. They're going against the Lions. Week 4 brings a home game against them, and the team probably won't allow the Jets to establish their ground game. All right, we also have Bell, running back for Detroit, projected at only 4 points. Again, they're going against the Jets defense, and it's probably going to be very tough to get a run in. The Jets, even though they're not that great, they still cause some problems, even like for the Packers the other week. And also ranked as one of the worst bets in a few different places I saw online is the Cowboys defense. They're projected at -3 points with ESPN against New Orleans. Even though they've been 0-9-8 over the past 3 weeks on ESPN, it's kind of crazy that they're already projecting that they're in the negatives. All right, worst bets from NFL.com. EJ Manuel, QB for the Bills. He's going against Houston. He's projected at 13.1 points. This past loss was definitely not because of Manuel, as the Bills let Phillip Rivers pick them apart, while also accruing 11 penalties along the way. He'll try to get the Bills back to a 3-1 win when they travel to Houston this next weekend. All right, another worst bet is James Starks. He's the running back for the Packers. They're going against Chicago. He's projected at 2.4 points. And even though Starks kind of led the team this past week in rushing yards, Eddie Lacy continues to be the lead for Green Bay, and Aaron Rodgers is definitely depending on him a lot more. And NFL.com also ranked Cowboys defense. They're projected at 0 points on NFL.com instead of -3 like ESPN, so your chances are a little bit better there. Let's get into the sleepers for this week. Bleacher Report ranks Teddy Bridgewater, QB for the Vikings. Keep an eye on Bridgewater. Week of bye weeks. If you have Peyton Manning out, if you got Russell Wilson out, you can bring this guy in. He's a good filler. Another sleeper they're saying is San Diego Chargers defense. They're owned in less, and they say, quote, they are owned in less than 5% of ESPN.com leagues. The Chargers have one of the NFL's most improved defenses and have the fortunate distinction of hosting Bortell's first professional start. The Jaguars are not good at football, in case you needed that spelled out for the 4,215th time. TheBackupHunter.com said your sleeper this week is Donald Brown, the running back for the Chargers. They say, quote, following a knee injury to Ryan Matthews, Donald Brown seemed likely to see an increased workload this week. And now that Danny Woodhead is also out long-term with a serious ankle injury, Donald Brown will definitely be a workhorse. Let's celebrate, because I won this week! Woo! Marshall didn't do that well, and of course it was the week that I brought him back in. He only brought me 0.6 points, but Jets were just double teaming him. They basically told the Bears, if you're going to score, you're not going to do it with Brandon Marshall this week, not on our turf. So, and I have Lynch and I have Luck, and if any of you guys also had those players, you're probably smiling just like I am. I'm going to do a little bow down to Andrew Luck and Marshawn Lynch and just thank them for being here. So want to hear from you guys if you also had the same people as I did. Let's commiserate. Let's celebrate together. This week I'm celebrating. So you can find me on Twitter at Kristin Carole 13, and please tweet me right in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. So for Fantasy Football, I'm Kristin Carole, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.